And the Sugar Bowl between Georgia and Notre Dame kicked off after being delayed a day following the terror attack in New Orleans. The Fighting Irish beat the Bulldogs 23-10 to advance in the college football playoff. They will now play Penn State in the Orange Bowl on January 9th. The bowl season is just part of the revenue surge into college sports. Joining us now, Abe Madkour, Sports Business Journal executive editor. Is this a success that some of the games were really bad, Abe, blowouts?
They were, Joe, but Happy New Year. Good to see you. All in all, this 12-team inaugural playoff has to be considered a success. They've got 4 marquee teams in the semifinals. They've had great early rounds in terms of being on campus, even though the games weren't as competitive as CFP leaders would like. I think they'll make some tweaks going forward, Joe, but all in all, a very good inaugural season.
There won't be a Florida State, at least, right? I mean, would you rather have it this way, where someone that maybe deserved a shot, then you find out for sure when the rubber meets the road? It's better than having that question, for fans and students and everyone else.
Well, somebody's not going to be happy at the end of the day, Joe. And I think that's what the committee will go back and look at in terms of the seeding of these teams, who gets in of the 12. But this was a big gamble to extend the season, have a much more formal playoff, more access, 12 teams instead of the previous just 4 teams. I think that's been a success. I really think it's heightened interest in the regular season. And I do think that they'll make some changes, but there have been some cons. Like I said, the seeding hasn't been perfect. The games haven't been as competitive as I'm sure leaders would like. I think that having the transfer portal open during the playoffs is definitely not something that they want. And I think that the conference championships in December may be less meaningful than they were in the past. So they still have some things to work out, but I'm sure they're happy with these Final Four.
Abe, is this just... I wonder where we're going to be in 5 years, because we always thought of these as student athletes. Is the student part of that missing in 5 years when you extend the season like this, when you have so many things that are going on? How can you possibly still be a student and be doing this?
Becky, it's a great question. We're seeing the more and more professionalization of college sports. We're seeing these athletes get millions of dollars in name, image, and likeness payments. We're seeing more and more put on their plate in terms of on-field obligations. So I think the academic amateurism angle is something that is a very good question, and people ask it all the time. I was at a conference recently that Sports Business Journal held, and it was more about this has become a more professionalized environment and will continue to be so.
So there's a leadership vacuum for how to handle it, you point out. Whose domain is it? Whose should it be?
Well, there's been a lot of calls, Joe, as you know, for now a commissioner of college football. This event, of course, is run by the College Football Playoff Committee. That's made up of the big conferences and Notre Dame and some others. But NCAA doesn't rule this tournament or doesn't oversee this tournament. So there's definitely a leadership void, and that's something that I think people are calling on, not just about structure and setup, but there has to be some more guardrails around name, image, and likeness. You're going to see more and more interest of private equity potentially getting involved in college football specifically, Joe. So a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of decisions, difficult decisions to be made by the leaders in this space.